88.1 XFM's Tauranga Hit Music Station. Also, another episode of Mic Time with Marty. I've got a entrepreneur who is from Aotearoa, New Zealand. So say hello to Scout NZ.
Hello.
Well, it's actually not Tauranga Hit Music Station because I'm back home. So it might be Hawke's Bay's music station. I'll work on it. How are you doing today?
Yeah, it's doing well. It's a good day out right now. So I'm quite, I'm feeling it.
Yeah. So it's really cold here in Hawke's Bay. Is it cold in Wellington? Because you seem to be wearing a singlet.
Yeah, well, it's warmer in the house. I feel like we've dropped back down into winter.
Mm-hmm.
We had the spring, kind of in summer. I changed all my clothes to summer clothes, but it's a bit rainy outside right now and gloomy.
Mm-hmm.
But just do what you can. But hence why you got to live like so many plants around here just to be.
Yeah, I was about to ask. I'm loving the background.
We have well over 250 plants in the house, so gotta bring it in.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
So, TikTok, how did you get started?
Yeah, I guess like most people, like when it first came out, looking at first lockdown, you kind of get bored. You're like, okay, what's out there? You want to have distractions. You want to see what's happening. And I just wanted, I'm the kind of person who likes to explore what's out there and seeing new things, being on top of technology, social media. And so this I thought was a really good way. And to understand the interests. And to me, it was like more of a creative outlet. So during first lockdown, I was running my own business, Loci, and it was looking at food transportation within the city. And since the markets were shut down, but that was a way of two things. One, I wanted to show kind of what we're doing. And the same time, I wanted a place just to experiment my creativity. I wanted to like go online saying, oh, what are other people doing? Yeah, you get into some of the dance videos and you make some of those. But it's also, I found it as a way to watch what others are doing, try to replicate that in your own version, and just to have fun with it. It was a distraction. It was like, okay, what can I put in? I come from the burner community, and so because of that, I have a lot of outfits. So I'm like, okay, how can I incorporate this in and show it out? But it was just a place to just try things out, see what it looks like, have fun, and have a good time. So I mean, it kind of went by the wayside, and I was just kind of like consuming a lot afterwards, after the first lockdown, and then picked back it up since last January in 2021, picked it up a lot more and recognizing actually I want to do more, I want to get out there, I want to showcase what's in the city, and just again have fun with it, really.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah. Well, it's a very fascinating space because like you look at it and it's the number one downloaded app in the entire planet right now, for social media. And this is where people are putting their attentions on. And so we have to, we can't ignore this fact, So when everything's shifting into, because of COVID, becoming more social, becoming more digital online spaces, then we have to see how are people trying to find communities, how are they trying to reach out towards one another when they are feeling isolated and alone. And so this provided a very good means, considering that you look at Instagram and people are really tired from it. It's inauthentic. It's like, here's this image of like, this is what you got to do and create this brand. And I just find it so fake and it's just really tiring. And so I'm like, screw that. Like I kind of was on Instagram. It's not really my thing. I'm the same age as Mark Zuckerberg, but I'm not nearly as rich as he is. But but I bring this up because like I grew up on Facebook and I've seen the changes of it, and I've seen Instagram come out, and I kind of like skipped right over that and dove right into TikTok because I'm a lot more for a person who likes to talk and to get out there, and visuals are great. So how do we use this to help connect others and to showcase our talents or what we're good at or our skills, and to inspire people, really educate and inspire and entertain people.
Yeah, I actually grew up on Facebook as well. I only use Facebook to keep in touch with family that are like overseas. I mainly use Instagram, not as much, TikTok, and sometimes Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes. I barely use Twitter.
Yeah. I think back when I lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota in the States, and I used it when it kind of first came out. And I just found it really overwhelming keeping up with it. And a bit toxic. And I'm like, nah, it's not my thing. Really, I just can't really do it. So Facebook's good in terms of like, okay, community groups, but really it's just catching up with family, or kind of seeing what's happening with friends abroad and keep on staying in touch. Where now my dad's finally being convinced to download TikTok just to watch me, and seeing what's happening in Aotearoa, and because that's my main platform. So
that's exactly what my mum is doing. Downloaded TikTok just to watch my videos.
Yeah.
I love parents.
It's good. Yeah.
One more supporter.
Yeah. Sweet. It's good.
So besides was it Minneapolis? Yeah. So besides there, where else in the world have you lived?
Yeah, so I born in the United States. I grew up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and so that's just north of Chicago. So maybe an hour and a half, give or take. Like 8 hours from is Minneapolis. But I grew up in the dairy state of America, and which to people in Aotearoa, Wisconsin, because there's a ton of cows. Wisconsin looks like the Waikato, but without cabbage trees. So, right. So it's kind of the rolling hills. There's all the cows around, and it's very similar landscape in a sense. And so I lived in Minneapolis, and I went there after I went to uni in Oshkosh. So have you ever heard of Oshkosh B'gosh at all? Kids clothing brand. They're from there. There's one of the world's largest air flying shows is in Oshkosh, and so it's really neat. But then I went to Minneapolis because of I want to be with community, the LGBT community, and so I can just be myself and interact. But at the same time, I found it. I think people like overlook it because they just fly over it. You go to Mall of America, but there's so much greenery to it. It has one of the largest concentrations of green spaces in the country, in America. And so I'm like, okay, it meets my needs of like, there's the urban farming side, there's green spaces, there's nature in winter. Like I would be biking in winter because they plow the streets for it. It's really, really good and supportive environmentally. And so it hit a lot of my values. And I was able to grow as an individual. So, but then I also, I recognize over time, like I don't want to live in the United States. There's so many concerns and problems. I want to be able to have a community. I want to be able to make impact. I want to align this better. But I did go, and like I left and traveled down to South America, and I lived in Peru and Ecuador, and I also lived in Japan for a bit, working there. And a degree in Japanese, but I never really, like stayed. Initially, I was like, I want to be living in Japan, growing up, and it didn't happen. And but ended up coming to Aotearoa. But yeah, lived in Ecuador and Peru for a year. And only left because my passport was going to expire. The visa wasn't a problem. It was just the passport. I'm like, this is not. And I was an illegal immigrant at the time because I stayed past my visa. And I'm like, I should probably leave so I don't get reprimanded for this. So yeah. But living in the Amazon was great though. I loved it. And but then moving down to Aotearoa and then here the past 8 years.
Whoa. Welcome.
Yeah.
So if
Yeah.
you could pick anywhere in the world, like if I had to pick, it would be Mexico. If you could pick anywhere in the world to go, where would it be and why?
Yeah. Oh, lots of places. Um, is it Kuala Lumpur? I think. Oh shoot, I'm forgetting the name. I think that's it. No, Angkor Wat. I want to
Mm,
go to Angkor Wat. I want to see the ancient civilizations. I want to see um, nature that's been brought into it. I want to see these old civilizations of what we lost,
mm,
and see it firsthand because it's far older than what people think. Same thing for going to Göbekli Tepe,
mhm.
and so the most ancient civilization in the world. So that's in Turkey, but it's just some more getting there. So I like seeing. I want to get to places that have nature involved, and I want to be able to see, you know, civilizations or like architecture or arts. And like I've always been like this growing up. So we traveled a fair amount in the States, and we go to a city, but we get out and go to the national parks
Mhm.
and see nature. And so you get the balance of like here's the culture and then here's nature,
Mm.
and try to split that difference. And so I love traveling and I like food, and so it's trying to have these looks. So I guess it depends what category you put it in. Instead of just one place, like here we go. But I would Angkor Wat is I would definitely go to next, and plus it's closer
Mm,
than anything else.
much
Looking at
closer.
where we are in the world, we have to be kind of realistic too.
Mm.
So Southeast Asia is up there. Yeah.
So you are a supporter of the LGBTQ community. How do you deal with haters and criticism? Because myself being a member of the LGBTQ, you
Yeah.
do deal with people saying like, "Oh, your choices are wrong" and all this other stuff. How do you deal with that?
I just can't be fucked. Anyway, can I swear on this? Sorry.
Yes, yes, no problem.
I you get to like I'm turning 38 soon, and you get to a point in your life you just can't be bothered anymore. But you only can come to that by facing these issues growing up and seeing it firsthand, and getting to a place where you are in a position where you can feel safe and secure
Mm,
and supportive around your communities. And it's hard. I mean, like, I feel like I created issues for myself growing up, and because you're putting yourself out there, because you're challenging the status quo, and then whether the status quo or that space accepts you or not. But that usually has to do with a lot of internal trauma that those societies or cultures have, and not dealing with, and not being supportive of the communities. And so like it was hard. Like growing up, I yeah, I was raised Christian, but in a sense, but the Christianity in Aotearoa was very different than America. And but
mhm,
I also grew up in an extremely liberal denomination in the United Church of Christ, and so it played a huge influence in my life. And where like we had the first gay person on the national board, any Christian national board in the United States. It was the first trans person on the national board.
mhm.
They all came out from Minneapolis. So I'm like, there you go, right? So I'm like, I'm gonna go to these places. And it's rounding itself. So in uni, I was part of I was vice president of the LGBT group there,
Mhm.
and helped me identify myself, and going into yeah, but it's also the battle of like how do you live in the communities and cultures and society. And you have to block out things just to
Mm.
cope and manage and live, and a lot of people have a hard time, and when they're facing rejection of their home, where's having to come out. Like I was super worried about coming out. Like I made this man, I'm sitting there like at university, and my Japanese friends were just like, I came in, I printed off these huge documents. I was looking at the religion, I was highlighting stuff, I was saying how it supports, and I was just because you're really worried.
Mm.
And coming out to my parents, it was no big issue, but my Japanese friends came in and they just started bawling. I'm like, why are you crying? And they're like, it's just that you care so much. And like, I'm like, yeah, because I'm worried for my life. Like what happens if so you have to start preparing yourself just in case, but you want to be yourself. And it takes a lot of courage and support around you to be able to do that. And a lot of people don't.
Mm.
You look at the trans community, you look at the Black community, there's a lot of places that don't. And so I present male, so and I'm white. and cisgender. So it's a lot easier to, there's a lot of privilege that comes with that, but it's owning it and accepting it and saying, what can you do to help others? So, but yeah, when I lived in Minneapolis, I was able to just be, and you come across haters, and in the streets, and particularly when the churches and when you're dealing with like organizations and entities, when it affects their life. But it was a stark contrast when I came here, when you have a country's government supporting you, and as an overarching safety nets and saying gay rights and marriage, and because it respects you as a person. And then when you break it down further, it's saying, well, where in those communities can you feel safe, in the cities that you live in? Because like, I can't imagine what it's like living in the West Coast in the South Island. No idea, or rural areas in the North Island. But I'm like, I got here and I'm like, I'm going to Wellington because culture, it's easy to get around. There's nature, there's community. Auckland is just a shambles for me. Why would I want to put myself in a large city where it's like, and it's that I just find it fake. I just find it inauthentic and fake. And why do I have to keep up with the Joneses? And then you look at gay culture on top of that, and you're like, it's too much drama to deal with, really, when you just want to feel secure. And Wellington holds that place. And so, but I feel it because on TikTok you see all these people that are trying to connect and being able to be themselves, and it's hard because they can't do that. There isn't those safe spaces in those smaller towns, like in New Plymouth, or like Stratford, we're gonna do, and where people are trying to find escapes, and sometimes it means just waiting until you're in going to uni, so you can do this. So, but how have you found it? What has been your experiences with, within Aotearoa as a queer person?
Well, I used to go to youth group every Friday, and when I took my youth pastor to the side, and I said, I need to tell you something. It's been on my mind for a few months now, and I just need to get it off my chest. And he's like, okay, whatever it is, we will support you. I go, I'm bisexual. He pauses, and he goes, we support you. So I'm like, okay. And now it's telling my parents, which is a whole nother kettle of fish.
Yeah.
And then obviously coming out to my friends, and then once you tell one person, everyone knows.
Everybody knows.
Everyone knows. Especially one of my teachers, he was like, oh, I hear you're bi. I'm like, yeah. And then there was a kid that said, yeah, he's bi himself. I'm like, whoo. And that's also one reason I got into doing comedy, so I could roast them, but still.
Exactly right. To throw some shade, but it's hard because when I see those sorts of things that come up, a lot of it actually really has to do with their own trauma that they're facing, where they don't have the safe space to be able to be themselves. They might be queer as well. We don't know. You can make assessments, but in general, it means is that you become a threat because your very existence is approved by others and it's not approved for that individual. And so it's saying, where are those safe spaces for that person to feel comfortable, be able to be who they are when you are setting an example, and it's jealousy that comes up, or being envious of what you have, and having the courage to actually face that and do something about that puts you ahead in life, because then you face that confrontation and you're able to move forward with and saying, right, so what can I do next? Now that this is done, now that I have this release in me, where can we go from this when that person is still trapped? Yeah.
Also, one thing I realize is there'll be days when I'm when I'm straight, and there'll be days when I'm like super full on gay, like when I'm with my girlfriends and we're hanging out looking at clothes or just being idiots. Like my full gay comes out, and they've somehow named it Tiffany, and I'm like, okay, and is there a day where I'm in between? And they're like, no, You're either gay or straight. Pick one.
Well, it's not exactly about picking one, really, and that's not how
Mm.
the world works. It's easy for us because in our brains we have to compartmentalize, be like, it's either this or this.
Mm.
In the fact of the matter, it's crossing over, and when you bring the idea of masculinity in it and how we define it as a society, when there's breakdowns, they go into the far side and it's toxic masculinity, saying this is not appropriate because it doesn't fit within this constraint. When really it's like, actually, we look at just look at guys, for instance, right? And so it's saying what is appropriate and where do you need to find that connection? So, and how do we want to be able to express ourselves, whether it's like looking at clothes, whether it's how do we connect with people, and really like guys in general. I mean, we have such a huge suicide rate in men because they're not able to connect with others, and be like the whole idea of like hugging another guy for extended period of times or cuddling is really confrontational. And because it goes into saying, oh, it's gay and it's sex. And I'm like, well, that's not how it works. There is sex. And then it's how you connect with people and how you want to get your energy, like most of my friends are women. I connected them a lot more than guys. And because it's just too much to deal with, and they're not coming to terms, or it's too much of that bro mentality or ego. And but when you break it down, then it comes into that queerness of like how you express yourself. But that doesn't necessarily mean they're gay, but it means able to actually just be who they are. But yeah, you can be super freaking camp, and just have fun with it. And there's so many straight guys that do that, but that comes into the queerness. And now I see like within Wellington that queer definition is so broad now because we've always associated queerness with sex, and it's breaking down, and it's not about that. It's not. It's about your attraction to others and how you want to express yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, if someone was to walk up to you, asking you about, like, have people told you about things that they do when they come out?
Not lately, to be fair, not lately. Recently, because it's not a huge focus, I guess, at the moment. And younger, yes. Like can you provide an example? Like, what do you mean? Like, what kind of comes up for you when you're thinking about this?
Like when, like, if someone was to make this big ass party about them coming out, or just a small parent, daughter or son.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I would love that, actually, if there was like, coming out parties, because you want to turn it into a celebration, it's who you are. Like the straight people have these gender things that have exploded, and now there's a lot of issues with that because it's saying you're either this or this. And I'm like, it's not how it works. But why can't we celebrate ourselves and make our own, parties around this? And I think it's great. It's fabulous. And because you want to have a good life, you want to have fun with it, you want to be able to cherish and have people around you that actually supports you and be like, yeah, these are my mates, and it's fun, and it's all about you, but it's also about them, and it's showing, particularly for young people, saying, hey, I want to grow up in a society where this is acceptable, and these are the things that people are doing. Like, I want to be part of that. I want to be part of that. Right? So I'm sure I've run across people who are doing that in Wellington for like uni students, but I don't know where else. I'm sure around the world they're doing that too, but I haven't had people coming out to me, really. I've had a lot of people coming out when it's dealing with, lately, a lot more of breakups, or coming to Wellington, or trying to figure out how they fit into community and where those communities are. That's the concern. And a lot of the times it's going into what we currently have, which is alcohol, establishments, and sex as the only ways in order to connect, which is not a healthy way, saying, oh yeah, welcome to your gay community, and this is all you get to have, is these pseudo ideas of what a relationship is, or these feelings like this is how it works. I'm like, that's not actually how it works. That's not how the rest of the world works either. So why are you defining us into two different categories as coming out? And how is it supportive for trans people? How is it supportive for queer women? How is it It's not. But then we also don't have neighborhoods. Well, really, I mean, sort of, in Aotearoa, where like other cities have these queer centers, and we don't have that here. So you bring up a lot of good points, actually, because I want to start investigating and talking to people about it. Like bring it up in TikTok, So yeah.
Just a quick question. Do you have a timer on the top of your screen?
No.
No? Okay, cool.
Wait, unless I click on it. No, I don't. No?
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Apparently it says we have 5 minutes. For some reason.
5 minutes left.
Oh, for some reason, I don't know.
I'm like, is that an hour? Wow, that's really quick.
Okay, Scout, are you ready to play a game?
Yeah. Sure, let's do it.
All right. Do you want to do music, acting, or voice impressions?
Oh no, I'm terrible at all three of these. Music, I am terrible with music and knowing who's what and listening to. Voice acting, I cannot put on. I can try put in accents, but I'm not very good. Good at it. Acting.
Acting. Are you sure?
Know. I mean, it's like I don't. Oh, this is really. I'm really uncomfortable with this.
Okay, how about we just do like quick fire questions then?
Okay. Yeah, okay. That works.
Okay, so we got backwards and forwards. Favorite food?
Raspberries.
Okay, so one for me.
So what was the question?
You got a question for me, so we'll go backwards and forwards.
Oh, back and forward. Okay. What is one gem that you find in one specific gem in Hawke's Bay that people should know about?
You mean like a diamond or something?
No. If you can think of the coolest place that people have never known about, that'd be like, go check this out, whether it's a cafe or a location or like a swimming hole. What is that one place be like, do this?
It would be the river down by Flaxmere where I live.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite color?
Red. Yes. Yeah. Look at favorite book.
Harry Potter.
Series or a particular book?
Series. All of them are amazing.
Yeah.
Favorite actor.
What's his Ryan Reynolds? Ooh. Jake Gyllenhaal too. But I have a thing for him, so it kind of gets mixed up. Yeah.
All right. So that one for me.
Okay. So favorite city or favorite place to visit or city in Aotearoa?
Ooh, either Tauranga or Coromandel.
Ooh, Coromandel.
Coromandel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Favorite genre of music?
It's so much. I've been listening to a lot of Little Nas X lately, a lot. So I'm definitely going in that route.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. New favorite playlist that I've been making is around that. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Let's do a couple more.
Yeah. So let's see. What is the podcast? Any podcast you're listening to right now that you recommend?
Preferably the ones I'm on, but no. No. I'm
my podcast.
Yeah. I was actually going to talk about that until I realized we had a timer.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of David Dobrik and the Vlog Squad, so I've been listening to a lot of theirs. Also, a guy that I interviewed who impersonates my childhood hero, Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
His name's Grant.
Jim Carrey's great.
Yes, I love Jim Carrey. Just alrighty then.
Yeah, he's good. He's good.
Okay. Favorite food. Oh no, we already done that. Okay. Favorite musical.
Oh, Avenue Q.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Okay. One
Avenue
more.
Q. Yeah. Favorite performance you've been to?
I went to a opera with Solomeo.
Oh,
They're like a an opera trio, and Penny, the big guy, he was the main character there. And as soon as I met him, I was like, okay, whoa,
yeah,
calm down. And he actually messaged me for an interview, so I kind of cried, and I'm still waiting.
yeah, yeah. It's
Right,
good. You just gotta follow up. You just gotta keep on following up. Right.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, Scout, I'm giving you the floor. Promote yourself. Instagram, TikTok, any upcoming
yeah.
things you have.
Yeah. So TikTok is my jam, is my thing. Scout_NZ.